The Cape Town Special Championship just took place in South Africa, the only tournament on the entire continent and a key chance to qualify for the Pokemon World Championships. Last year there was actually 2 tournaments in South Africa, and I attended both of them, placing 2nd and 3rd and qualifying for the Pokemon World Championships. Unfortunately, due to global events, I wasn't able to attend this year, and so instead today, we're going to be focusing in on South Africa's new strongest soldier and 2026 Cape Town champion, Curdy Wordy 12. Kurt is a South African local who's been playing for a very long time, so if you recognize the name, you might not be alone. He's been playing since the Silph Arena days, if anyone remembers those, but since then, he's been on the GBL leaderboards a couple times, and he's been playing in a lot of grassroots team formats. For example, he's been playing for captaining actually, the African Union team for Gym Breakers, and also playing in the Glycoric Gladiators at the Battle Frontier. Unfortunately, even though he was super into PvP, he hasn't actually been able to attend any big official tournaments, wasn't able to attend the 2 in South Africa last year, and so this one, Cape Town, he was available and he knew he just had to make it. And so the question becomes, how did he build a winning champion team? Straight off the bat, I can tell you there is no Empoleon Altaria core on this team. Neither of these Pokemon have made it to the final 6. We are getting something a little bit different this time around. I will be darting off to the right a little bit to sort of read some notes because Kurt was sort of kind enough to provide us with some insights and some thoughts into how he put this team together. Really appreciate that from Kurt, but let's get into this team. He actually started off building it from Jellicent as the sort of starting pillar, the core of the team, because he felt like it was really underutilized and just so strong. Basically, if you are not against a dark type or a normal type, Jellicent is really good. Even Wigglytuff is actually not that bad because you resist both of its charge moves, a Swift and Icy Wind, and so you're throwing neutral surfs back. It's not that bad in Kurt's opinion, and personally, I kind of agree with him. To cover the darks and the normals, Kurt then brought Florges with Chilling Water and Disarming Voice. He was liking in practice, and despite also liking Togekiss, Florges had a stronger matchup into Medicham that was becoming a lot more popular in the sort of weeks leading up to this particular tournament. And also, running Disarming Voice makes sure that you have coverage for Altaria. We've seen tournament after tournament where a Chilling Water Trailblaze Florges has no charge move to throw into Altaria, and it just kind of gets a little bit stuck. So this way you actually have a fairy that can do fairy things. It can actually beat the fighters and it can beat Altaria, so it's pretty handy in that front, to say the least. The next problem to solve is that Kurt needed something for Volt Switch Fortress, and he must have thought it was a serious problem because he brought some serious ammunition in double Sire. Shadow Quagsire and Clodsire both joining the fray. Shadow Quagsire, we talked about it in the last video, 4 Mud Shots to an Aqua Tail. It is just so spammy, it is so good. Kurt believes it is the safest Pokemon in the entire meta, and I 100% agree. Clodsire isn't quite as flexible, but it does provide coverage for Wigglytuff that the team was kind of missing before, and it also is sort of able to muscle through a lot of the other bulky Pokemon in the meta, like your Cordillies and your Licky Lickies. It kind of just forces its way through because its charge moves hit quite hard. I mean, Stone Edge and Earthquake in this particular rendition. No Sludge Bomb, but you're still pretty good into like the fairies like Wigglytuff, to be fair. Speaking of Cordilli, in slot number 5, Kurt initially thought that this might be the play to cover the waters, the flyers, and the fairies, but he felt like he didn't have enough fast move pressure into Corviknight, which was giving him trouble, and also added an extra Empoleon weakness to the team, which feels kind of bad when Empoleon is sort of still used quite a bit, even though it's been going down in the last week or so. With that said, he decided, instead of Cordilli, let's go straight for Volt Switch Fortress. Volt Switch Fortress, if it was a problem for me, it'll be a problem for others, is basically the idea. It's got that same sort of type coverage that Cordilli had against the waters, against the flyers, also that steel type, so you're quite good into the fairies. Volt Switch Fortress looking pretty good. Looking at his team of 5, Kurt was a little worried that Gourgeist looked really strong into this squad, and so initially he actually had Licky Licky in slot number 6, but instead he actually went for something that had almost no usage at all. Umbreon is actually pick number 6, and again, you sort of saw the thumbnail, so shouldn't be a big surprise, but it is here anyway. Not only is it better into Gourgeist, but it also has better matchups into Fortress, Malamar, and Galarian Corsola, all Pokemon that have caused this team some trouble, and remember those Pokemon for a little bit later. It also has a really neutral bulk, and spoilers, but Kurt said Umbreon is the MVP of this entire run, so give Umbreon a little bit of love, we'll see how it goes. With the team locked in, it is officially time for the 2026 Cape Town Special Championships. This is almost definitely going to be the smallest tournament of the entire season with only 8 people. Essentially, there were 6 South African locals, including Curdy Wordy and Diveshan, who won last year's Durban Special Championship. There was also Billy Bradford, who came 2nd last year and is coming in from the US. And then also, even though I wasn't able to be there, we did have an Australian stand-in, making sure that we had some representation in South Africa. Cola 4 joined the fray to make a full 8. This is also a bit of a weird tournament in that they didn't use double elimination. They were sort of mandated from TPCI apparently to use Swiss in this particular tournament, which I don't think was advertised anywhere, but essentially with 8 players, it is 3 rounds of Swiss, no top cut. The person that wins all 3 of their rounds becomes the Cape Town Special Champion. If you win 2 rounds, you get into the top 4, and you make sure that you go home with a lot of championship points. If you win 1 round or less, which I just means 0, I should have just said 0. Anyway, 1 or 0, you go home empty-handed, and hopefully you just had a good time. With that said, Curdy Wordy didn't enter this tournament with the expectation of winning, but he knew it was definitely possible. And so with that, let's get into round number 1. Into round 1, and Kurt is up against Australian Cola 4, who has the Feraligatr, Wigglytuff, Shadow Quagsire, Corviknight, Credilli, and Guzzlord. Cola said that one of these Pokemon was named after me, and I'm assuming it's the Feraligatr because that was one of my big 2 picks from Johannesburg that carried me to 2nd place alongside Shadow Primeape. So cool to see the Australian flag sort of flying on that regardless. Game number 1, and we have the Florges lead into Credilli. Not a good start for Kurt at all, and so we're going to have to get out of there. Actually, it's even worse because there is a Jellicent in the back as well. So we're ABA weak to the Credilli lead, which is really not what you wanted to see at all. So Fortress going to swap in here, but luckily Fortress is quite a good sort of safe swap in this way. Not only can we tank a lot of damage, we can just eat the Rock Tombs from Credilli, we can throw our own Rock Tombs to reduce the opponent's attack, meaning we survive even longer, and then there is also Sand Tomb as an option that can reduce the opponent's defense as well. But we're just going to eat that Rock Tomb. Another Rock Tomb would definitely KO us here from the Credilli, so it's kind of just trying to get as much energy off as possible before that point, reduce the attack one more time, and just before going down, getting a Sand Tomb in as well. Actually, this might be a crazy heads up play, because by putting the defense drop on there as well, you wouldn't want to bring Florges in here, because Fairy Wind still wouldn't do much, and Credilli would really suck for you, but Hex is now going to do even more damage from Jellicent, and I think this is actually going to make it a much cleaner farm down from Jellicent. With all of the Rock Tomb debuffs as well, Jelly can kind of tank that Grass Knot, does less than half health, and now it gets a full Hex down. This is a lot of energy. Nothing except Guzzlord is going to love that. Interesting that Cola is staying in with the Guzzlord. With Draining Kiss, this obviously does so much damage to a Dark and Dragon type Pokemon that they need to shield, and Florges is going to outpace the Guzzlord. So Guzzlord kind of needs to leave this matchup because he can't get to another move. Maybe trying to catch a move, or maybe just recognizing that he needs to leave at some point. Swaps out into the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff is a little bit awkward here because this is sort of the reverse of what Cola wants in some way. I guess he'd prefer to have the Guzzlord onto Jellicent, Wigglytuff onto Florges. That makes sense, but there is so much energy on this Jellicent because it got that full farm down on Credilli that all of a sudden Wigglytuff, who again, charge moves are resisted by Jellicent, gets so many moves off into this Wigglytuff. Another Surf firing off. There is a Guzzlord in the back that has to deal with Draining Kiss. Florges, there's still 2 shields, and also Guzzlord is getting so low that he actually gets pressure to throw a move to make sure he doesn't get hit by a Shadow Ball. Florges comes in though. There's a Draining Kiss here. The shield will come up from Cola, but Florges is going to be able to shield and get to the next Draining Kiss before Guzzlord gets to another move, I believe. So can comfortably shield, click Draining Kiss, and win game number 1 against Cola, which again is pretty massive in a tournament where there are only 3 rounds and you need to win all of them if you want to become a champion. There and it goes. There's game 1. Game number 2, and we've got the Umbreon into Feraligatr. Kind of neutral versus neutral aggression. Neutral defense versus neutral offense is kind of what's happening here. Umbreon, not known for its attack. Feraligatr, known for just constant Hydro Cannons. A barrage of Hydro Cannons coming at this Umbreon. But Umbreon, I actually looked at this matchup before I recorded this video, and Umbreon does beat Feraligatr in the 1 shield and the 2 shield matchup, which is kind of wild. Like, you just don't think that Umbreon does this sort of stuff, but I think this is why people have been sleeping on this guy, and I guess why Umbreon is going to become the MVP of this particular video. You see they're both playing it out. A Foul Play going to fire off into that Feraligatr. No shields coming up from either player yet, but with this Foul Play, Cola now has to decide, like, oh, I guess I'll shield. Because he wants to keep his Feraligatr around. He's got all this energy on it. He knows that if there's no shield from Umbreon, it's going to go down. But Curdy knows that he can win this matchup. And surely you can't go for a full Snarl down, right? Like, he does throw the energy here. Maybe he could have gone for it if he burned a shield anyway. I don't know, but we are going to see a shield come up from both sides, and there are now no shields in play, so it is going to be a little bit dependent on what the opponent does bring. We do have a Florges and a Clodsire here. Quagsire comes in, and this is actually Umbreon being even crazier, because with so much bulk, it can't get Mudshot down, and so now we're seeing a Foul Play throwing in. Cola has to throw an Aqua Tail, because he can't Mudshot down, so threatening another Foul Play. Umbreon is insane. Florges now going to come in, and this is looking so good. If whatever's in the back is weak to Clodsire, this is like Jova. What can save this? Corviknight might save it. Like, Wigglytuff would be a disaster. Credilli, also a disaster. In comes Clodsire. This is Jova. There is nothing that Cola can do. It's just really tough. Clodsire is going to take all of these moves. Like, you can throw Rock Tombs that are just going to slowly whittle down your attack, but like these Earthquakes are just going to add up so much faster. And really, it's just going to be a case that eventually Quagsire is going to come back out, which is going to be a good matchup into Clodsire. But I don't think that Quagsire is going to have enough juice in the tank to take out both the Clodsire and the Florges. I just don't think there is that much juice there, especially because it is that Shadow Quagsire. It's going to take so much more damage from Florges. Its charge attacks. Credilli, to be fair, is doing pretty well. Grass Knight almost bringing Clodsire down. Hard swap into the Florges. Here comes the Draining Kiss. There are no shields remaining in play, and this is going to bring Quagsire all the way down, and there's a Credilli. And GG's, round number 1 goes to Kurt. 1 win down, 2 wins to go to win the entire tournament. He's up against Dillion26113, who, spoilers, ends up coming 3rd in this tournament as well. He does have the Licky, the Credilli, the Quagsire, Clodsire, Fortress, and Corviknight running, so it's sort of a similar team and a lot of Pokemon that can bulk through. Not a good start though. Jellicent into Licky is definitely a bad setup, but I guess you can sort of go for the catch here onto Umbreon. No catch though, unfortunately. So we just have to remember Licky has a lot of energy for later. Kurt has sort of run double bulk here with Umbreon and Clodsire in the back. Umbreon into Clodsire, I'm just going to assume, based on what we saw against Feraligatr, that Umbreon does win this one. I don't know for sure, but I'm just going to believe, because it feels like that foul play just adds up so quickly. But they've actually both gone for super bulky strategies. Dillion running Licky and Clodsire. Actually, to be fair, the only way that he's not running a triple bulk team is if he brings Shadow Quagsire. Everything else on his team is super bulky, which also makes sense why he would run these sort of more neutral strategies with Jellicent, with Umbreon, and with Clodsire, because you can sort of like play against everything. Jellicent Licky again, not ideal. But Umbreon getting to the end of this matchup, and it is looking pretty good here. Foul play is probably going to get the KO here against this Clodsire. No shields used, so we played out the zeros, and Umbreon did win that one. Again, Licky coming in here does have a lot of energy. Shadow Ball is pretty useless, but you only need a Body Slam to finish this off anyway. And now it sort of gives Kurt an opportunity to say, oh, well, I'm obviously not going to bring my Jellicent into the Licky. Here's Clodsire, which is going to have a much better time. Although we're not seeing a swap out from Dillion, I guess the only reason you do this is if you also have another Jellicent counter in the back, like if you're running Credilli, for example, because then you're like, well, I can use Licky up against Clodsire, and then I can just still have my Credilli ready for Jellicent and still not have a bad time, and still not that bad into like Umbreon. Actually, Umbreon's down anyway. Actually, it is indeed the Credilli, and I actually really like this play from Kurt. Bring in the Jellicent to use all of your energy now before it can get any super effective moves in, because Jellicent can almost get 3 double moves. Oh, sorry. Is it 2 moves, not 3, not triple? Double moves into this Jellicent, into this Credilli. Man, I'm stumbling over my words today. But actually, okay, this is going to be insane. I think we're about to get to a back-to-back move from Jellicent. You only need one of these to land to KO the Credilli. There is 1 shield remaining on the Credilli side. There's always the chance that a catch could come through, but Shadow Ball goes in. No shield from Credilli. Credilli goes down. Oh my gosh, that is so smart. Keeping the move on Jellicent, because you know that you're going to win Charge Attack priority later on. Swap into Clodsire to try and get as many Charge Attacks in as possible. They're still going to be really tight though, because if Licky takes this guy out, I don't think this is Surf range. So if this KOs, I don't think Surf is quite enough to actually get the win. Clodsire survives, gets 1 poison, oh my gosh. Gets the Stone Edge. Forces the shield out of Licky. Jellicent, you let Clodsire go down so you don't like lose to sort of turn shenanigans. Come in, charge strike priority, even if there was a move. Surf goes in, KOs. That's a crazy game 1. GG's to Kurt. The timer also came up, which is just, I guess it makes sense with so much bulk. Game 2 though, we're going Umbreon into Credilli, and we'll see how this matchup does play out as well. We finally brought the Quagsire in the back, and so Kurt is probably going like, okay, I'm very happy to see a Credilli here instead of against my Quagsire. I'm going to try and just neutral this guy out of the way as quick as possible, so then I'll sort of be set to go. Quagsire is obviously going to be pretty dangerous into any Clodsires that come around. Actually, really the rest of the team does not like seeing Quagsire, and so Kurt is probably sitting here like, this is so awesome. The question is really if Clodsire is going to be super useful. Again, I guess as long as it dodges Quagsire, it's kind of hunky-dory, so we'll just have to wait and see what it does. One of the downsides of so many bulky Pokemon on both teams, these matchups take a lot longer, so we are just sort of chilling for a little bit, but Umbreon's sort of impressed me so far, to say the least. Regardless, foul play going to go through. We're getting to the end of this lead matchup here. Umbreon into Credilli. Umbreon actually going to go down this time, but this gives Kurt an opportunity for a farm down, I suppose. Again, this little loading thing, I'm not sure what's going on, but we now have Clodsire going for a full farm down and getting it, which is kind of deadly. Again, if Quagsire is here, it could be bad, but no Quagsire. I guess, is Dylan just too scared of bringing... I don't know why he'd be scared of bringing Quagsire, actually. Quagsire looks pretty good into Kurt's team, especially with no Trailblaze. But Licky Licky comes in, meaning that it's going to eat so much energy from this Clodsire. And, I mean, Kurt is just hoping, like, please give me something for Quagsire to eat in the back, which, again, is kind of anything. This is looking so good for Kurt. Earthquake going to go through here. There's the shield, a first shield of the game. There is no reason that Kurt just... Actually, he's going to go for the Stone Edge. Is it low enough that Stone Edge KOs? Or he's just happy enough to get a massive farm down again? That actually might be the case. I feel like this isn't enough. Vibe-wise, I feel like this doesn't KO. Actually, we get a shield anyway. At this point, maybe it does KO. I don't know, like, Clodsire has been out of the meta for so long. It seems kind of crazy for it to just be back all of a sudden. Shadow Ball going to KO the Clodsire, though, so we're not going to find out. But now we have a Quagsire with 2 shields. Aqua Tail is so spammy. We're going to get it off before Licky Licky even throws a charge attack. 8 turns, down goes Licky Licky. And it's the Clodsire in the back. It's GG's. There is no possible way to recover this game. Kurt has won 2-0 back-to-back. We are 4-0 in this tournament, going into the grand finals, which again feels kind of crazy because we've played 4 games so far. But regardless, massive win, game number 2. And you know what? Who better for the grand finals than the defending South African champion, Diveshan himself? It's kind of awesome, the new challenger taking on the old champ. It's kind of the ultimate grand finals. But look at that team. Shadow Malamar, Wigglytuff, Shadow Quagsire, Galarian Corsola, and Polion Corviknight. Is your, like, you know, ringing any bells from Pokemon that I mentioned earlier in the team building video? This is like Umbreon's dream. This looks so good. If Umbreon can avoid the Wigglytuff, it is so insanely good into this team. It's like all of the Pokemon that he was worried about have appeared. So I'm kind of interested to see how this go. I guess, like, the question is, you feel like Wigglytuff has to come, right? So I guess you bring counters for that, like the Clodsire or the Fortress here. Umbreon is sitting in the back, though, starting off with a Fortress into Galarian Corsola. Bit of a weird matchup because it's not one that you've been... I don't think I've been seeing it very often, to say the least, but Nightshade's going to come out relatively fast and actually doing a fair bit of damage. Curdy Wordy sort of holding off on throwing the Rock Tomb straight away, which usually you sort of want to get those things in ASAP so you can get that attack debuff in, but in this instance, I guess it wouldn't have mattered because even with the debuff, 2 Nightshades would KO you regardless, so you have to burn a shield, and maybe you're sort of setting up to not give the opponent as much farm, especially if it's something like a Malamar or something. Could be pretty deadly. Rock Tomb going to land, though, getting a Sand Tomb in as well. Sand Tomb buff has kind of been crazy for Fortress, bring that energy down, because now getting the KO into Galarian Corsola, hard swap into Malamar, hard swap into Quagsire. The reason this is actually so smart is because Malamar is like so fast that if you give it like 3 Psywaves advantage, all of a sudden it's going to be outpacing your Quagsire. By getting in instantly, you know that your Quagsire is actually still going to outpace Malamar, and so you're sort of putting the pressure on the opponent to do something whack. Wigglytuff comes on in, and it means that we're going to have to deal with that Malamar a little bit later, but if you look at Kurt's team, he has that Umbreon. And the fact that Wigglytuff is coming out now, he's like forced the issue. This is so amazing. Like, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it's hard skill, but now it's going to be Umbreon into Malamar. There is still a Protect Shield on Malamar's side, but the problem for Malamar is that it's got Foul Play, which does nothing, as you can see, or it has Superpower. And as soon as you throw Superpower, you're debuffing your own defense and your own attack. So it's like, well, what do I do now? Like, I'm just stuck. There's nothing I can do. So Umbreon's just going to keep throwing Foul Play after Foul Play after Foul Play after Foul Play until this Malamar is no longer on the battlefield. This is kind of a bit of an insane spot to be. At this point, you've got to start like throwing some superpowers. And I guess you're also aware that there's other Pokemon as well. And so he has to Psywave down Quagsire before Quagsire gets a move and then throw probably 2 superpowers into the... maybe if he... Could he have gotten a full Psywave farm down there? Maybe he could have gotten double superpower into Umbreon. I'm not sure, but regardless, we do see the superpower coming in here. It's probably not going to be enough. Oh, it actually got pretty close, to be fair. But game number 1, going to go to Curdy. Umbreon surviving there. I do wonder if that Psywave down could have happened, though. This is a disaster, though. We have Umbreon into Wigglytuff. We have not dropped a single game in this tournament yet. This is a pretty bad lead, but we've come back from bad leads before. Swap into Florges hard, and I sort of expect that Diveshan would eat the charge move, eat the Chilling Water, eat the debuff, and then dip. We're actually seeing Wigglytuff throw a move here, which is kind of interesting. I guess, to be fair, even if you want to keep the alignment Wigglytuff on Umbreon, you don't need to keep that much health from Wigglytuff, because you would need to throw like a gazillion last resorts to KO. Quagsire are going to come in now that Florges is weakened, and I guess at this point you only need 1 Aqua Tail to KO, and so you're sort of pushing through the fact that Florges can be a little bit dangerous for Quagsire, but now Umbreon going to come in. This is another spot that Umbreon feels like you can just soak so many charge moves. That's sort of Quagsire's big hitting leading move Stone Edge, and it didn't do that much damage to Umbreon. It's just going to be a case that it can keep on throwing them again and again and again. Aqua Tail is going to get pretty low here. Umbreon is definitely going to start forcing the issue and forcing shields out of Quagsire if Diveshan wants to keep it, but he doesn't. He has a Wigglytuff, remember. So Curdy Wurdy recognizes this, recognizes that a Wigglytuff is just going to come in instead if he let his Pokemon go down, gets an energy advantage on Quagsire to sort of set himself up for the best spot to be. This is a little bit dangerous though, because Astonishers are going to do a lot of damage from Galarian Corsola. I'm kind of worried that Kurt doesn't have enough health to push this one through. Acto is going to start firing off, bring this Galarian Corsola down lower and lower and lower. I don't think that 1 is quite enough to KO here, catching the move into Umbreon. I guess this makes sense. Like, you know that Wigglytuff is going to come in. You may as well burn that energy from the Galarian Corsola. Throwing the last resort, this isn't going to be enough to KO. Actually, if you landed another one, you'd be good, but there's going to be a full charm down before that can happen. Diveshan even heads up throwing the move on Charge Attack priority on the foul play, getting rid of the Umbreon, and now Quagsire comes in. There's not enough health, and Diveshan takes game 2, which means finally our first loss of the tournament, and this game decides it all. And what a start for Kurt. Umbreon into Galarian Corsola, so many bad leads in this tournament, and it gets better. Malamar is still a good matchup for Umbreon, as we saw before, making the gambit that it's going to be a foul play, and it is. If the superpower gets called, like, this is so insane of a spot for Kurt. This is going to be really tough for Diveshan to come back from. A foul play, going to bring this guy down to half health, and at this point, you can almost just throw a move and then dip if you really wanted to. It is kind of insane. Forcing a shield out of Malamar and then swapping it to Quagsire. At this point, you can sort of just, I feel like you leave your shields, you know? Like, you can eat a superpower on Quagsire, and I guess it makes sense to no shield because you're going to have to take 2 moves anyway. Like, even if it was a foul play, 2 foul plays KO you, so I guess it makes sense. Oh, I assume. I don't actually know that, to be fair. But Galarian Corsola are going to come in and get the farm down, but you know what's going to happen. I know what's going to happen. Umbreon's coming back in here and just going to eat all of this energy. There is nothing that this Corsola can do. Diveshan is really going to hope that his whatever Pokemon is in the back is, like, good into this matchup, because otherwise it's so Jova. There is nothing he can do. Umbreon takes out the Galarian, or not quite. There is still 1 HP on that thing. Oh, it's Wigglytuff in the back. It's Wigglytuff in the back. That's a full health Clodsire here. This is such a disaster for Diveshan. Okay, to be fair, there is still a Malamar with energy, and I guess Malamar with energy can technically take out both Clodsire and Umbreon, so as long as this Wigglytuff can set up the game enough, maybe Malamar can actually do some damage, but look how much damage is going to this Wigglytuff. Like, this is so bad. This is so bad for Diveshan. Swift, gonna come through here, I guess trying to get a move off. Corsola comes in and actually had a move. I didn't realize that it had a charge move. Nightshade going to come through, but now it's down to a Poison Sting. There is still that Malamar with some energy, and it comes in. Umbreon swap in, throw the foul play. This is kind of, I guess, because he would have thrown a foul play into the Clodsire, so he tried to catch the foul play. Didn't end up working out, but still, we get the shield on the foul play. Fair enough, you know, good call. But foul play now going to go through onto this Malamar. There is so little health in this game. Malamar goes down, no shields in play. Wigglytuff against Umbreon, and Umbreon is going to get a foul play. Is an Umbreon going to KO a Wigglytuff to win this tournament? Not quite. Clodsire comes in, throws a Stone Edge. That's going to do it. Cody Wurdy is your 2026 Cape Town champion. What a finish with a crazy lead. I mean, Umbreon, this so random Pokemon that, like, no one was really predicting, coming in, leading into the Galarian Corsola. It's such a thematic way to finish things off. I mean, it is crazy. Like, when I was reading the notes that Cody Wurdy wrote about his team, and he pointed out the fact that Umbreon was going to take down Malamar and take down Galarian Corsola, and, like, you know, also Empoleon and stuff, I was just like, and then I looked at the Dracovish graphic, and I was like, hey, Diveshan's team has an awful lot of those Pokemon. This is very interesting, but still a really, really great run. He only dropped 1 game, so he went 6-1 in games, 3-0, but that makes him the Cape Town champion and grants him a spot at the Pokemon Go World Championships. So really looking forward to seeing him there. Hopefully he does attend. I know Diveshan, who won the Durban one last year, wasn't able to attend last year. I think Curdy, it sounds like he is going to be going, so I hope he does, because it would be really cool. Shout out to everyone that played as well. It is cool that it is sort of picking up as far as South Africa is concerned. I know that Johannesburg last year didn't actually have any South African competitors, so it's just really cool to sort of see, and I hope that the scene does continue to grow over there. I know we've gone from 2 tournaments to 1, but I think that does make sense, to be fair. Hopefully they get a tournament next year that does grow a little bit bigger as well. Swiss was interesting. I don't know how I feel about Swiss over double elim for such a small tournament. Obviously, like, I think everyone is screaming from the rafters that they want Swiss for these big tournaments. tournaments, but for a tournament that is so small, it feels like double Elium is more fair. Like, I don't know if I'm crazy for this. I guess there is a reason that on the main in the main tournaments they also switch from Swiss to single Elium at some point, to sort of makes it more exciting and actually whittles things down. It gives people a second chance in these tournaments as well. I don't know how I feel. Actually, I do know how I feel. I would prefer that this was double Elium. Maybe like even if it switches over to Swiss at like 9 people, because then you get 4 rounds with a top cut. I don't know. I found out that they do asymmetrical top 2 top cut, which I think means that, say there were 1 person on 4-0 and 2 people on 3-1, the people that are 3-1 actually have to play for a spot against the 4-0 person. So I kind of do like that system, and I would have preferred it. But regardless, this was, I guess, the first experimentation of Swiss after it was announced as possible to implement at the start of the season. So here you go, gang. But look, it's a massive shout out to Curdy for sharing his footage and for winning the tournament. He did want to shout out both of his teams, both Battle Frontier and Gym Breakers, the African Union, and of course the Glycorian Gladiators. Mad shout out, because I'm sure like playing these grassroots formats does sort of improve your skill, improve your ability to play the game as well. And yeah, so shout out to Curdy Wordy again. Thanks for sharing all of your insights. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, especially that subscribe one. My next video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But if you do want to check out some more, there is last video was looking at the San Juan champion as well. I put like random slides in this thing, but thank you to my patrons and YouTube members as well for supporting this content, making it all possible. I do really appreciate everyone. But yeah, I'm going to go get started on that next video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.